So our game, Stalker, is now out in early access for just $4.99 US, and there's a launch discount on top of that. But if you've never heard of Stalker, let me describe what the game is like. In short, it's a bullet heaven roguelike where you're tasked with slaying the ghosts haunting the psyche of your town. It's basically a bullet heaven roguelike like Vampire Survivors or Brotato, and it has Paper Mario style graphics, and the design is more strategy focused instead of min-maxy. So far, the development of the game has gone like this. It started in low intensity development in October 2022, and around January or February 2022 is when development was more hands-on. Then, we did a Kickstarter in March, and then after the Kickstarter, there was a tier that allowed you to get early access so you can play the game directly after the Kickstarter until right now, and that went between March and now. I often get the question, how do we make this game so fast compared to the previous games that we made? And well, firstly, the game is a small game, $4.99 US compared to $20 US for my previous game, and another thing that was incredibly important is that we set the scope really early and deviated really not a lot at all. What I found to be really useful is to take another game and use that as kind of the baseline for the scope. So in this situation, we used Brotato for the progression systems and stuff like that because I really enjoyed how that worked, and it really aligned with the strategic focus of Stalker. Another thing that really helped in making this game much faster than usual was that we knew exactly what we were making. A bullet heaven based on strategy. We didn't flop around much at all deciding the direction of the game because we always had a true north to follow, and that is, the genre, bullet heaven, and the focus, strategy. And something I found interesting is that despite having other projects that we worked on at the same time, they didn't make the development slower. I actually feel that it made it faster. To be more specific, we carried some of the code and design knowledge from this game to others, but at the same time, we took some of the code and design knowledge from the other games into this one. So it was kind of like a positive reinforcement cycle. I don't think this necessarily means that making multiple games at once makes the development of all of them faster, but it is crazy how making multiple games makes you level up so much more than just focusing on one big one, whether that is all at once or in a sequential order. And so I assume a lot of you are interested in what I'm about to talk right now, and that is the statistics. So right now the game has about 7,500 wish lists, which is actually exactly what I was going for when I was evaluating marketing goals a few months ago. While this is a lower amount than my previous game, it makes sense because the development timeline was so much shorter, so there's not as much time to gather wish lists, but it's also a cheaper game, and bullet heaven games generally have a way lower impression to wish list ratio than big RPGs. On the other hand, because the game is cheaper, wishlists should also convert better in theory, and if the game resonates with players, it should also do well in spreading through word of mouth because the barrier to entry is much lower. So that's kind of the story of the development, expectations, and the release of Stalker. You can actually get in the link below. It's super cheap for just $4.99 US, and there's a limited launch discount, and on top of that, there's also regional pricing. I might do a follow-up video where I discuss my post-launch feelings of the game, so let me know if that's something that you want to see, and until then, the team and I will continue working on Stalker to make it as great as it can be throughout the early access periods, and I'll also keep you all updated through these devlogs. Until next time.